That
Hello, ma'am. Welcome to our podcast, Health and Wellbeing.
Thank you for calling me.
So, getting started with the questions. First question is mine. Uh, is addiction vulnerability genetic? And if so, are there any markers which a person can see for themselves to judge how vulnerable they are to get addicted or how easily they can get addicted?
Yes, it's genetic, around 40 to 60%. And there's no particular gene, addictive gene. There are different variations of genes, and it's polygenic, means different genes with slight variations can make you more vulnerable. But there are no markers. You have to see for yourself, like your family history or how tolerant you are and how easily you give into rewards, or if you have any mental health issues, other like ADHD or depression and all. These can make you more vulnerable compared to others.
Ma'am, my name is Reva, and I'll be asking the next question. Just a brief for the camera as well. This is a podcast about addiction, and we're going to be asking ma'am questions for that. So, my question is that can a person be judged by their addictions or their habits? Like, for example, I get really addicted to carbonated drink. So, can I be judged on the basis of that, my personality or my, mental health being?
Nobody should be judged for any addiction, because definitely that's not a choice they're making. It's not a moral failing, and it's a biological disorder triggered with some genetic vulnerability plus your environmental factors, stress, and other contexts and other reasons. So they shouldn't be judged on that, for not for addiction, but they can be held accountable for other behaviors that comes with addictions. Anything harmful, like people who are addicted, not to drinks, but otherwise if it goes to a limit after a point, they're prone to manipulations. They can lie, they can steal, and if they're driving under influence, they can physically hurt somebody. So they should be accountable for that, and they should be judged for that and supported with care and love to help them come out of it.
My name is Anamka. My question is, what changes occurs in the brain that makes breaking an addiction so difficult, and why does it affect people of all demographics?
What happens is dopamine is released when you have anything that gives you happiness. So you feel high in alcohol or drugs or anything that gives you. So dopamine then gets brain makes associate links it with the cues. So later you don't need any dopamine to be there. You just need the cue, and you feel that dopamine is required. You feel the urge to have that substance or whatever, because it gets associated with dopamine, the cues, and then the brain's changes. It physically changes in the sense that amygdala or prefrontal cortex and other stress related, this everything changes. And to relieve the addiction, I mean, they feel stressed, so you have to have whatever it is you are addicted to, otherwise the stress causes body to go into distress. So brain changes, and that's why it becomes the addiction. And in prefrontal cortex you lose the impulse control. It gets you lose the willpower, the impulse control is there, you cannot say no. So because of these brain changes, addiction becomes biological.
Hi ma'am,
And that's why it affects all age groups and everybody.
my name is Mishti, and my question to you is, how would you define addiction beyond substance? So it could be an addiction to a certain routine. People who are quite successful have this certain kind of a wake up 4 a.m., sleep at 8 a.m. kind of routine. And can that be harmful, or is it always considered good?
Addiction can be of anything, your shopping, eating, or other than substances, gym, too much exercise, social media, And you can call you are addicted to people also sometimes. Like I have a student who, but like she has been in therapy for so long, but she cannot do unless she checks the message, and she sees that that person is manipulating her, is cheating, and still she cannot. The moment I mentioned that, stop seeing his message at least for a day, she visibly gets so distressed right there and then. So even that's an addiction. So that addiction comes from the happiness that whatever the habit is giving you. So what was your question?
How is it beyond substance? Is it
Yeah, so these are the types of addictions you can have. And the test is that you are compulsively doing it, no matter you are told about the harm that it can cause, and yet you do it. So the compulsion makes, the test is the compulsion that comes with it, and you are absolutely narrowed to it. Come what may, you have to do it, otherwise you go into that withdrawal sort of distress. So that's the test to prove that it's addictive. Suppose someday I, like routine you said, suppose something happens, I cannot sleep at 8 in the night. So I shouldn't be distressed. I said, okay, Aaj, let it be. So that's the test of addiction.
Hi, my name is Kashi, and my question is that what professional resources like rehab counselors and support groups that actually work, and how do one can choose the right?
It depends on the level of addiction. So if it is gone where physically you will have severe withdrawal symptoms, so rehabilitation only will work. But if it's just the start, counseling can help, and counseling can help, and counseling helps in the sense the different modalities. CBT can help, motivational talks can help, self, and the counselor can of course tell them how to delay and stay away from the addictions. So counseling can help in the initial stages, and there are different groups, AA, NA, SMART, and peer support group. They can help you stay away from addictions. And how do you know which one to choose? First of all, if you're going to a clinician, then you have to check their license. And if you go to rehabilitation center or something, then you have to see that they shouldn't be offering one for all program. It should be tailor made for you. So once you talk to them, you will realize how effective they can be. What is their after relapse, post care program? Like what is the program they are offering? Do they understand the person you're bringing to? So it shouldn't be tailor made. It should be tailor made. And what's the care offered afterwards if it relapses?
Hello, ma'am. Myself, Ashvi. My question to you is that what are the main ways you would suggest someone to combat addiction?
See that first of all, when it's the beginning, in the start, if somebody needs help on time, then you can start with developing skills like you combat urge surfing. In urge surfing, you have at least 15-20 minutes you have to delay. And once you delay, even I follow that. Suppose I have the urge to eat junk, so I at least talk to myself and delay. No, I'll eat after 15 minutes. पकोड़े खाने खुशबू आई मैं घंटा खा लूँ. लेकिन नहीं अपन next वाले से खाएंगे वहाँ अच्छा होता है.
Especially अगर बारिश हो जाए तो सबसे ज़्यादा
That वो खुशबू उसकी ना so tempting. So मैं कहती नहीं अगले वाले से खाते हैं. फिर वो निकल अरे अगले वाले से खा. And by the time I reach home, that urge has died. So that's called urge surfing. So delay for 15-20 minutes and it will die possibly. And then you have to have some network of friends, at least 1, 2, 3 in your circle, whom you tell कि the moment, मतलब आप लोगों के बीच में एक pact होना चाहिए कि the moment I have the urge, I'm going to call you or text you. And the person should be available, readily available. Not that they are themselves drowned in something, party, and they are not available, and then पता चला आप ले ही लिया, फिर यू से कि अरे तूने बताया क्यों नहीं, अरे तू था ही नहीं तो मैंने ले लिया. So you should have some very trusted, at least 1 or 2 people in your net that you immediately inform them and they immediately tell you what to do. Come and meet me, start a walk, walk towards my home, or I'll come, but delay, distract, and then decide. So if you can hold it for 10-15 minutes, possibly you'll not do it. And your friends, you have to have support groups which is going to help you ward it off. And family, of course, should be involved so that family is a big help. At any point, you can ask for their help and they can hold you, house arrest you, do whatever is needed. Phone addiction hai to phone leke. I say, if it's phone addiction, give them and let them lock. Don't let them tell you where is locked. And you have to not remove things, but you have to replace it with something. Replace it with hobbies, do something meaningful, have a fulfilling day, go to exercise, eat well. If you don't have good mental health, it starts showing in your physical health. And if you don't have good physical health, your mental health also gets, because I work so much on my mind, but I've seen that once the body hurts, then mental health goes for a toss, and then however long you have worked on yourself, it doesn't work. So you have to have the whole routine in check. You have to have a structured day routine, should be accounted for, every minute should be accounted for. Eat well, go for exercise, have productive habits, hobbies. And then you can, of course, consult a psychiatrist and psychologist for therapies and medication if required.
Hello, ma'am. My name is Rajni, and my question to you is, can addiction be cured, or is it more about long-term harm?
There have been cases where there have been 100% no remission and people have completely recovered. But still, it needs management because 40 to 60% is genetic also. And I know of at least one person, I can remember at least one person, she had an environment where mother was addicted. And this person was not planning to be addicted. But I see now that she is doing exactly what her mother did, because she had seen that growing up. So somehow the brain does what you have seen in your childhood, it follows the same pattern. So it needs to be managed. Suppose like diabetes, it's 100% diabetes is a management disease. You have to manage it. It doesn't go, but you have to manage it. Same way addictions can also be managed, they should be managed. Even if there is remission, that you don't relapse, so you have to be managing.
Hello, ma'am. My name is Shloka. So my question is regarding substance abuse. Should the government focus more on punishment or more on rehabilitation? Because we see that right when someone's caught with drugs or something, they either make them pay a lot of money and leave them, which also is not right, or they're just jailed. So what should be done?
See, definitely punishment is not the answer, but like I said before, the action should have consequences so that they also remember in some part of their head that they are not supposed to do that. But having said that, doesn't mean like I had one of my friend's brother, unfortunately, was alcohol addict, and he would steal, and my friend herself was so disappointed, so sad, and used to say, sudarta nahi hai. And they will, of course, take him for treatment, and he would be nice for some days, but he will again relapse. So everybody hated him except for his mother. That doesn't help at all. So punishment is not for, the person, that his words shouldn't be associated with his habits. He is a human being this is not morally wrong. He is an addict, which is biological disorder, so he shouldn't be judged for that. He shouldn't be judged for his morality. But the consequences that can come from his habits or addiction, for that he has to be restrained, or there should be something done for that. But with support and care, there should be done something for his habits, addictions, So rehabilitation is the answer for that.
Hi ma'am, my name is Karmit and my question is on society and on the basis of competition. So in the world moving forward, the amount of competition has increased. So with that, do you think that the addiction, the amount of addiction is going to increase, or are other people going to be more mindful? And how does society play a big role in this? Like as filmmakers in our industry, most of the people are smokers, drinkers, heavy smokers, and some even do drugs, hardcore drugs. A lot of things happened when Sushant passed away. Those things came to sight. So, does competition always lead to addiction in people? Like, if someone is wants to beat the top, like so topper बनना है, does it make him addicted to studying, like, or addicted to being the best, or something like that? How does one do that?
Addiction has nothing to do with the competition. It's more easily available now, and society's hold over individual has reduced. So it's more like, I won't guarantee that हमारी generation में हो ही नहीं सकता था. It could not have been possible back then because society had more hold on individuals. People were boycotted, literally boycotted from the society if they did not follow a norm or a pattern. So which doesn't happen now. There, because of nuclear families and more individualistic way of living. So everybody, individualistic rights are more important now compared to what society thinks right and wrong. So norms are not followed anymore. So to each his own. So that's why addiction has increased. Plus stresses are more, of course. And addiction, one of the reasons for addictions is stress also. First you take it because you're stressed, and then if you don't take it, then you're stressed. I mean, your body goes into stress. So it becomes then, you have to take for that reason. And it's easily available. And then because of peer pressure, you take. Half the time I know people try because they're not considered cool if they don't try it. And so many tried. Just there was one student from Polytechnic and she said she tried and she didn't like it. Still दो ले लिया तीसरा. मैंने कहा अब तीसरा चौथे से addiction starts. Gradually addiction starts. Why are you taking it if you're not liking it? So you're not considered cool, you're not considered interesting, and it's beyond me, and I literally would want to know. I talked to my daughter also, okay, how does anybody become interesting just because they smoke and drink? It's absolutely foolish. It's only a perception, and people fall into that without thinking because of the peer pressure. Otherwise, just think for a minute, how does smoking and drinking makes you cool and interesting? So don't do it. But it has nothing to do with it because it's not going to increase your performance or achievements. But half the time people are doing it because of the peer pressure.
Isn't it because of the society that our perception is that they are cool, smoking and drinking?
Perception is wrong, no?
But then how does the society, what changes need to be there in the society for that perception to change?
It has to be changed at the individual level. Suppose I know one actor, I won't name him of course, he was into counseling for 9-10 months regularly. So he absolutely is a teetotaler. And one of the reasons, this is another factor, if you can learn from your home not to drink, you can also abstain from it because you have seen your parents doing it and you don't like it. You won't follow.
Also, to add on to that question, ma'am, do you think movies, as film student, do you think movies romanticize addiction?
Yes. Just imagine those, abhi people have become aware, so it is, people have consciously stopped doing it, and they put a warning also, disclaimer also. But otherwise, it was a norm that a hero will enter with a cigarette in his, and it will dangle from his mouth, and they'll have close up, and it will. And I admit, even I'd been at your age, in school. Even I would have been tempted to try, but some part of my brain said, "Nahi, what after that?"
But putting that label of no smoking is not enough. They should not show the character smoking at all if that's what they want.
Exactly, because that nobody is reading that first of all.
Yeah.
And even if they read, what about 10 of my friends asking to smoke, otherwise I will not be taken in the group or I'll not be called for the party. So that is more of a reason for me to smoke than the disclaimer stopping me.
And ma'am, a lot of times I feel there is a fear of missing out among people.
That's comes with that. No? So the FOMO is there, and my own daughters told me ki, people avoid calling you if you don't drink.
I think the party scene is exactly catered to people who drink or smoke. So it's a bit hard to go there.
One of my friend who lives in Canada, so she says ki non-veg, she's a Jain, so she doesn't eat. She said, I don't drink. But pehle she used to drink, but then one day her husband and both of them, I don't know what, reacted, but they had horrible vomiting session. I mean, full on for hours. For hours they vomited. It was a full 1 hour session, and they kept vomiting and everything. So uske baad se both of them were so scared that they didn't touch it. Now they can't be, because if they go to a party, everybody is holding a drink and everybody is eating non-veg, and when they look at you and they say they don't do anything. They are not going to ban you from entering, but they won't talk to you. You automatically feel out of place, and then you don't go.
What does one do in that situation, ma'am?
I say hold your fort. Like that actor, unfortunately I'll ask him next time, can I name him somewhere? Because he used to go openly and very happy to come, because it changed. He manifested his work. He got to work with Rashmika. So he said he manifested that only after the sessions. So because I say your mind is so powerful, use it for good. You can manifest anything you want to, provided the mind is under your control. इससे डर गया, उससे डर गया, इसलिए पी लें कि उसने कहा. So that is a weakness. You have tools and exercises to combat that. So do that. And he himself says he, in spite of being so long in the industry, he still doesn't touch. He doesn't smoke. For one scene he had to. So he got herbal cigarettes. And
but aren't herbal cigarettes addictive too? In the end, they are just cigarettes.
No, but for that scene he had to. There was no alternative.
Okay, but if supposedly someone who's into smoking, who's into addiction, now they want to leave and they go to herbal cigarettes, won't they just put their addiction, like you said, replace? But won't they just replace the addiction of actual tobacco cigarettes to herbal cigarettes?
No, if they are going to switching to herbal from nicotine, then who told them to? So take experts' help. Like you asked me, how to combat. Take an expert's help. Don't combat this exercises or whatever on your own.
Okay.
Whether you go to a psychiatrist or whether you go to a psychologist or therapist, do what they ask you to do.
And my second question to you is that what message would you like to give to somebody who is very afraid to come out and to like seek help for addiction? Because actually I have also experienced this, that people make fun of you if you take help. And it's not just for addiction, it's for any mental problem, or it's not a problem per se. It's just like, if you have any issue with anything, if you go to a therapist, people will make fun of you, no matter what. And what advice would you like to give to that person who is not only afraid of peer pressure, but also people have a stigma of their own, that, if I go to a therapist, there is something wrong with me, there is something that is, I am at fault with something. What advice would you like to give to that person?
That's why I convince in orientation so passionately that it's not a stigma. Please, it's not weakness. Even I would happily love to go to a therapist, because talking to any random person is definitely more harmful. When they give such stupid advices. They interrupt in between. And trust me, everybody judges. So why talk to any person, even if they are your friend? They are forming some judgment in their head, even they don't tell you then. So go to a person who is trained in mental health issues. So that will be more helpful, that will be more guided, and that will give you more direction. And my message, of course, to anybody, and I do that as much as possible in orientation and all, come and seek help on time. I understand that people are judged, so people can, decide not to seek help. But it's not a failing. It's definitely not anything moral failing at all. It's just a disorder which can be helped, and you're human. All of us are imperfect. All of us fail. Some can be seen, some are hidden. So it's only a failing. You're only human. Just take one step. Just take one step. Just book one appointment. Go and see the right mental health person just for one session. And one step, and then the rest of the future can be formed from there.
I had a question. We know a lot of addiction, like substance addiction and social media, but something like getting addicted to people is something people don't really talk about. So what if someone who is being addicted to a person and that person is actually being manipulated and lied to constantly? And this is not the first time, it's been happening previously and it's just getting worse. And once that person finally leaves, then how do you overcome that trauma which is sitting in the head, and but you know that it's there in your head but you're not really getting it out?
I love this topic because this is the most common problem and most unrecognized.
Yes.
Long back, somebody wrote a book. A psychologist wrote a book called Games People Play. So it was mentioned, and after reading that and having lived it and seen that, it's going on all the time. So what if you can understand your own self and see how you work, why you're addicted? So the journey starts from self-awareness and very deep self-awareness. And then if you go to a person, therapist or psychologist, they can guide you further. And generally speaking, you have to, like in addiction scales also, you just have to, don't remove, you have to replace. Replace how? Increase your self-worth. That empty void is why do we go and get addicted to human being or substances or anything? Because there is a void in us and we're trying to fill that void with something. मैं खुद ही नहीं प्यार करती अपने आप से. You tell me कि I look beautiful. You tell me that I love you. I'll be so happy. Now I don't have to do any work. I'll fill that void with your words. So what if it came from my own within? Then I say, hey, this person is saying I love you because he must be. Well, I'll see through your game. What I mean to say is, when you're full with your own worth, you know what you are, and you're absolutely full. You're directed when you get up in the morning till night you sleep. You're doing something to improve yourself, to evolve, to grow. Trust me, you won't need any addictions or you won't need another human being to fill that void because that void is not there.
So the journey starts within.
Oh, it starts and ends from there. Everything starts. You ask me any problem, I can prove that it starts from your own self.
Ma'am, but what if someone has self-worth and is still being manipulated? Like someone, for example, in Sacred Games, there is one character called Cuckoo. In starting, she was a woman and she had a self-worth of a diamond. She was that precious to herself and she knew about that. Even then, she was dating someone who you should treat her like trash or who you should treat her like she was his property.
Spoilers for Sacred Games.
Spoilers for Sacred Games.
Too late.
How do you know that her self-worth was good? How do you define that? How do you know that?
The way her character was portrayed in the entire series, throughout the series, was that she had self-worth.
So how did you understand? What's your understanding of it?
As in?
Like it was portrayed.
Yeah.
Okay, you must have nothing was said. It was portrayed.
Yeah.
You understood it.
Yeah.
How did you understand?
So basically, what they portrayed was the dialogue, and spoilers, but in the dialogue, जिसके भी पास कुकू है उसके पास पूरा मुंबई है. This was the exact dialogue that was used. That basically they're comparing the worth of Mumbai and worth of Kuku. Basically, Kuku.
That's not self-worth. That's how the world sees her.
But she also later on in the series she goes on and tells herself that तू मेरे बिना कुछ नहीं है.
हाँ, तो फिर allow कैसे किया?
This is to another character. Now
हाँ,
she is to another character.
हाँ, but whoever she has allowed, how did she allow that? It's not possible, huh?
It's not Goku saying, just a projection of the world saying. Like if the world is telling you
Huh.
this much, yeah, you're worth so much, you're worth so
So
much.
if you're echoing only what you have
Right.
heard, but you're not feeling it
Right.
inside, then you're game for the whole world to exploit you. Yeah.
Actually, I
So many
think
celebrities are a proof of this.
Right.
there is a lot of narcissism, but that stems from insecurity, and that's why people take the validation of other people and they get addicted to it.
Yes.
So can someone get addicted to a narcissistic behavior?
It's not addiction, it becomes a compulsion because they cannot, they can never ever live without it, and then it becomes a fixed pattern in their head.
Okay.
And they stop realizing after a while, it becomes their personality only.
Alright.
And I've not seen, we were once discussing in a therapist group, and it got to that point where we said, I've never come across any narcissist going for therapy.
Yeah.
Because they don't see it wrong and they
Yeah.
don't want to, of course, treat it. So it's not an addiction, it becomes a personality, and they have to, because that insecurity is very deep.
Alright.
Adding to that, I've noticed a pattern of people who prefer to have a narcissistic or the bad boy, bad girl kind of partners. That's what they look for. Sometimes they don't want a person to be fully sweet or something like that. What do
Then
you
that
think
again
about that?
is, see, whatever is happening to you is happening because of you.
Hmm.
And sometimes, many a times, the reason is so deep down that it takes layers and layers of removing it, and in many sessions, then you finally know the reason. So if she is attracted to a narcissistic, then definitely the reason is something is wrong with that person also. Otherwise, it's not possible.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Yeah. Just one question. Many a times we realize that we are very dependent on something that is not necessary, but you cannot cut it out of your life.
Such as phone.
Yeah, but also just basic necessity, basic things in your life like chai, small things like your laptop, phone, tea, coffee, anything of that sort. You don't need it, but you don't understand that you're getting addicted to it, and everybody else will point it out to you. At that point of time in your life, how do you first recognize it yourself? Everybody else is pointing out to you, but you don't think there is anything wrong with it. How do you recognize that pattern within yourself?
I think in one of the questions I said how it becomes a compulsion, that's a test. So just see I don't need to check the messages and still I want to reach out for the phone. I decided 5 se 6 I will not check the phone. And yet I have this very strong urge to go and touch the phone and see the messages. So test your own self. Am I doing it for a reason? No, there was no. I can, even if there is a message from the office or anywhere, they can live without me checking for 1 hour. Still you want to check, then it's a addiction. Then you have to work on yourself. And then if you or yourself are recognizing it at these stages, you do everything to, like if I have had students, so if they come, I tell them tips how to combat it at early stage. If you go
ahead, cut out chai. I was really addicted to chai, and I got this deep-rooted fear in me that I might become that uncle. Keep drinking chai.
Right, but I think what ma'am had said earlier about delay, distract, decide, those three words were very powerful,
Very
still
powerful.
stayed in my mind.
Yeah.
So delay, distract, decide. Could you tell us more about that?
See, like I said, when I go home, so this pakode ka smell comes. So I say, nahi, I know myself, so I know how to fool myself. I say, "नहीं, मैं next दुकान से कर." I've done it so many times. So next दुकान, next again. By the time I reach home, that urge has died. So if you have chai ka, so purposely have it. 5 minutes रख दिया तो have it at 7.
Right.
By 7, you will not feel like having it mostly. Phone addiction is, so you just set a time that you will not touch your phone or whatever from certain to certain time. And every day, starting from 5 minutes, just sit still with eyes closed. There was this experiment where people were put in a room for 5 minutes without the phone. And they were so restless within 5 minutes. So do whatever you feel has become a compulsion with you, purposely, just for your own good, do opposite of that. So आँख बंद करके 5 मिनट भी बैठो, trust me, you will not be able to sit. And if you can sit, see that none of your muscle inside your body is flinching, not moving, including eyes. आँख बंद है तो अंदर भी आँख नहीं move होना चाहिए. Be so aware. If your mouth is closed, usually my tongue, I realize, is on the upper this, bring your tongue down, नीचे. अब उसको वहीं रहने दो. अब be aware, not even one muscle in your body, not even one cell in your body should be moving. And that takes a lot of self-control. Start with 5 minutes. The more you do it, the better. And this, of course, such people cannot get addicted. वो तो बात दूर की बात है. But such people will have such control over their minds that लिखवा के ले लो कि you can manifest anything on earth you want.
Ma'am, and also I had one more question, which was that basically, can people also get addicted to healthy habits? Because, for example, my mom is a big, very health person. Like, she will eat healthy food, she won't eat from outside, anything of that sort. But then she she developed an unhealthy habit of drinking a lot of water. And it's not good that you drink a lot of water. It's good that you drink a lot of water, but not too much. And that became a problem for her later on. So, does that also count in addiction?
Yeah, ma'am, adding to that also, is all addiction bad addiction?
Like I said, exercise is good. But आज exercise हो ही नहीं सकती. It's raining cats and dogs and gym is closed. But I get so distressed. I have to exercise anyhow, anyway. I cannot relax. Guests have come. ऐसे नहीं 1 घंटा में exercise करके आती हूँ. So this shows कि अरे relax. You should know to chill also. You should know to let go also. You should know to sometimes relax also. Any compulsion, any good habit also, if it makes you distressed. I have somebody in my relation who has this obsessive habit of cleaning. ठीक है अभी आप आ गए कहीं से and you're hungry, the whole family is hungry, but first you clean the house and then you will cook. So watch for these signs. If it is distressing you, slight deviation is distressing you, then that means that's not good, even if it's good habit.
Also, ma'am, I have one last question. It's about buzzword. Like social media and internet has made it very accessible for a lot of buzzwords to be thrown around, and they start losing their meaning after some time. Like it's very casual for someone to say, "यार मैं इतना फैल हूँ, मेरे को depression हो गया."
Depression, you ask, trauma is so loosely used. I get so angry. The student comes and she says, "मैं तो बोला है कि yeah, I'm not taking the names." So she said कि मैं तो बोला है कि मेरा boyfriend तभी हो सकता है जब मेरा trauma यही करे. मेरा दिल में पूछा है क्या trauma है? सर क्या trauma? What is trauma? So these words are so loosely used now that you imagine that you are under trauma. Anything happens, you're under trauma. Anything happens, you're depressed.
Have you had any instances where people come to you saying that they're self-diagnosis? कि मैम मेरे को लोग डिप्रेशन हुआ है मेरे ट्रॉमा को लेकर.
अरे they are self-diagnosed all the time. Everybody is self-diagnosed all the time, and they come labeled only that I'm going through trauma.
But what labels trauma as actual trauma and not widely used trauma?
Yeah.
See, you should let that expert decide it.
Obviously, the expert is going to decide, but that's what I'm asking. How does an expert decide what is trauma
We
and
have
what
tests.
is not actual?
We have clinical tests.
Okay.
So you should go to a clinical psychologist and they can give you tests, and then they can decide ki how deep is it, is trauma, is depression, or it's anything at all. So take a test for that.
Alright. Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, I enjoyed that.
It was lovely having you.
Very
Lovely.
lovely.
Thank you for
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye.
man.
It's done.
Yeah.
Done.